Right, today going to talk about one of my projects from the last year at Koi Wholesale. This is Project Dainichi, one that I'm very excited to sort of share with you now. Dainichi Koi Farm, if you've not heard the name, I would be quite surprised. This is probably the most prestigious koi farm in the world. One of the longest serving for sure. Their bloodlines play a huge part in most other koi bloodlines, especially for Kohaku and Showa in the world of koi today. The only real rival to Dainichi is Sakai Fish Farm in Hiroshima. The main Dainichi operation is based in Niigata and always has been. So yeah, between them guys and Sakai, you really have got the two heavyweights of the koi world. The amount of grand champions between them these guys have is phenomenal. Talking about Dainichi, as far as I'm aware, these guys are still the only farm to have won the Grand Champion Award at the All Japan Koi Show with all three of the Go Sanki, so Kohaku, Sanki and Showa, which is quite an achievement. Very difficult farm, obviously, in my opinion, for getting fish because the demand there is phenomenal, certainly from Asia, and with the dominance at koi shows makes the fish incredibly desirable, which also has a massive impact on the price. Yeah, there's generally not a lot of cheaper fish at the farm either because of the consistency of the level that they produce. Now, over all the years I've been doing this, we're talking 20 or so years now, I've been at Dainichi, but I've only ever bought a handful of fish from there and never quite managed to crack the strategy behind the best way to get fish there that can possibly be affordable for people. So in recent years, they've done a lot of business through auctions. I've attended some of these auctions in person. And again, probably it's one of the things that sort of put me off a little bit more is the fact of seeing the price level of the fish passing through them. Looks insane. Very difficult as well. That they're having quite a lot of auctions in a year, so getting to all of them is not easy. So it's generally one or two, possibly the ones I picked at the time were the worst ones. It was a lot of guaranteed female stuff at Tosai and Nisai. So again, the most desirable for a lot of the people looking. Prices were very high. I'm talking, 2-year-old fish can be tens of thousands of pounds, and there's a lot of fish, on the day that pass through at them kind of figures. So yeah, it leaves you a little bit disappointed really because they're not all that accessible. And for me, the auction format, I often feel that there's possibly better to be done pond side with a breeder, so that sort of steered me away for a lot of years. And it wasn't until actually, again, I've been trying to find the best way, do this, do that. The cheaper fish that get released at Dainichi, I'm being quite honest here, I'd rather buy elsewhere. For me, there's buying fish from Dainichi, and then there's buying Dainichi Koi, and that's the full impact of what the lineage can produce. Now, yes, these cheaper fish they release have qualities, but they're not, the image of Dainichi that the breeder sort of creates in their better fish. So that was off-putting. I thought I'm not just going to buy for the sake of buying from that breeder. The fish have got to be right as well. So I think it was about possibly 3 or 4 years ago now, was sat with a hobbyist breeder that I know. We was just having a general chatter, and a mutual friend came in who was now took a position as a head staff at Dainichi. He'd been filling that role for about 5 or 6 months at this point, and I just thought I'm just going to ask. So, I said, what is the best way to sort of get the best fish from Dainichi? And he literally just one word said the auction. And I knew at that point really I've probably got to change my opinion of the best way to get stuff done there. His impression was if you're trying to get something done pond side with one of the brothers, you're possibly going to pay an even bigger premium. And that the Dainichi auctions, they're literally generally releasing the best fish available for sale at that time, and letting us lot decide what we want to pay for them. So all of that considered, it was back in January this year. Because of COVID, which has probably helped the situation a little bit, the physical auctions haven't been on, and they moved the whole process online, which has allowed me to obviously participate in all the auctions rather than just the ones that I could attend. Yeah, I had a really good study of the fish. There's some, I mean, Dainichi Koi in general, the qualities, we're talking, you know, size. We've got Gosanki that are growing up to 1 meter with incredible quality. The Kohaku lines are just phenomenal. The Beni quality is pretty unique to Dainichi. A lot of it comes from the old Kagura lineage, which is a really famous one that the father created, and it's just such a rich, deep, intense pigmentation. It's absolutely stunning. Body power is phenomenal in the Kohaku and the Showa as well. You know, you see the big specimens and they are just mind-blowing. The sheer size and power in the body is phenomenal. Yeah, they're incredible. The fish are superb. So there's a lot there to be desired. You know, not all Showa can grow 80 plus, not all Kohaku can grow to 1 meter. It's very few lineages that produce it. Breeders from all over Japan flock to these guys for parent fish. You know, there's so many other Kohaku Showa bloodlines out there where Dainichi was the base level for it. On top of that, you consider the flock of breeders that the farm has actually trained, dating back to the father, Minoru Mano. There's actually a club these days called the Dainichi Obikai, which all the former breeders that trained under Dainichi are a member of this club. And we're talking some pretty heavyweights: Nogami Koi Farm, Marido, Omasako, Mariyama. The list goes on and on and on. And these in their own right are incredible breeders. All generally with Dainichi at the base level of their own bloodlines, but certainly the Dainichi influence in their techniques and breeding styles. So yeah, coming back to the auctions, I thought, you know, now's a good opportunity. I've got, you know, more auctions to go at because we're just sat here using my skills, being able to buy from pictures and videos and knowing, you know, what's issues with the picture or the video and what's real. Ideal time to give it a shot. So yeah, went pretty balls deep to be honest. Buying the Tosai, it's always a case of buying Tosai, it's a numbers game. You know, if I want to produce 10 top fish, I'm probably realistically going to need, if I'm buying, you know, lower level fish, to produce 10 good ones, I probably need to buy, you know, 500 to 1,000 fish in the first place. Now, in this case, the starting level was much higher, so not quite as many, but, you know, I think it was about 60 to 70 fish I obtained over the course of 3 or 4 auctions altogether. It was a serious investment for the company, but one that, for me, I wanted to make. Having not had the fish actually here, I know quite a lot about the farm, the history, the lineages, but never actually had them here to raise, to actually learn about how they develop, the quirks of the bloodlines, the different parent sets and so on. And you can't really do that until you've actually had your hands on the fish and raised them yourself to see what happens. So the idea was to get the Tosai, relatively small as well, and there was a thought process behind that. They were all bought unsexed. So male, female, that's my chance. But yeah, much smaller. So I've got a bigger, basically sort of development phase to study, to see how they develop and progress. I needed quite a few fish to get a good sort of spectrum of what happens. So yeah, overall I was happy with what I bought. I was happy with the prices as well. Now that's not saying by any means they were cheap, which they weren't, but I was happy that what we paid for the fish was in line with what I would have got, you know, quality-wise and price-wise at any other farm. So yeah, the so-called, you know, sort of Dainichi tax, the brand tax, I don't think was actually there in the fish that I bought for what I actually bought. Some of them, I think I probably would have struggled to get from other breeders, given that the level of the fish. I think at some farms it would have been possibly the farm's best fish, their tatigoi, which they wouldn't have wanted to sell. It would have been a wrestling match to try and get that sort of quality off them. Here, it's just the general quality on sale, which says a lot about how good they are. So, yeah, obtain the fish. Like I say, they're coming over 3 or 4 shipments because of the different auctions. 60, 70 altogether. I can't quite remember. And yeah, eventually when we got them all consolidated, there was one of the 3,500 gallon ponds set out for them, and just got on with growing and raising them. Very, very quickly did I see, you know, what it was all going to be about. The pace some of them started racing on at was quite phenomenal. The instant impact, you know, even the night they arrived on the shipment, the skin quality was just absolutely shining through and beaming. And yeah, I was excited. So got the ball rolling, got them started. It's not been the most perfect of growing seasons. We actually had a problem, a leak in the pond that they were housed in sort of midway through the process, and through trying to fix that, we ended up losing about a month of the growing season, which I wasn't best pleased about. I've sort of rectified that by extending the growing season on now. So we're just at a period at the minute where the pond's due for sorting, and then my best fish are going to go back in and push through on through till the end of this year before giving a bit of a winter break. So yeah, the fish came from both of the Dainichi operations. There's actually the main one that we've already set up in Niigata, which is run by 2 of the 3 brothers, Futoshi and Shigeru, up at that place. And then the other operation is in Toyota City, which is run by the younger brother, Hiroshi. So he's got some quite interesting parent sets down there, including the Kohaku line Kinsen, which is, I think, the most recent All Japan Koi Show winner from Dainichi Koi Farm. Absolutely phenomenal fish. It's got Miyabi Showa line as well, which is pretty prominent. So I really wanted to get a mix to see how the different fish are performing and getting on. So all of the fish are actually certificated. So we've got the size noted and basically a before picture as well. So we've got a record. Didn't take pictures of everything before they went in, but we've got these as a backup, and then we see the other pretty crazy stack here. Definitely got a bit of an addiction to buying fish, but yeah, that's every single fish noted, documented with the parent sets as well, which is great data. Now with the before they went into the growing pond, they did actually get moved halfway through. So this was during the process when the pond sprung a leak. Prepared another pond just on the other side of the fish house for them. When they were moved over, we did actually measure and weigh all of the fish at that point as well, and took a quick picture on our phone. So we have got all that documentation to look at as well, which is going to be quite interesting. The reason we chose to weigh the fish was, again, we're just this year having chose to invest heavily in using Saki Hikari across all the growing ponds. We just really wanted to sort of gauge the overall performance of the food really with the fish. These fish are actually the main reason I decided to go back to Saki Hikari this year. The initial thought process was, given the level of investment we made in them, there was going to be no compromise, and I wanted the best to give them. So yeah, it was, to be honest, we got the food in initially just for these. But it was after a small period of these fish being on that food that I decided there could be no other food for me going forwards. Incredible results at such an early time period. So yeah, such a lineage coupled with what for me is the world's best koi food was going to lead for pretty awesome results, which yeah, we're going to get into that and have a look. The plan is to make this into a bit of a series, so one by one we're going to lift some of the fish up, use the records, we'll get the pictures, you know, before, after pictures, the certificate one, the weights, so you've got all the data, you can see what's happened now the fish have progressed, and I'll give my opinion on what I thought about the fish at the time of buying it, what I think to it now, how it's gone and where it will go in future. So just a few notes, the fish went into the pond, or the pond they've been in generally most of the time is one of the 3,500 gallon ponds. Same kind of feeding regime, 24, 25 degree water for most of the time, feeding every 2 hours. The primary diet has been Saki Hikari growth with 50% Saki Hikari colour, to really progress that colour well in such warm water temperatures. Yeah, they've fed well, done well, and I think it's time probably to get into a couple of the fish and see them in more details. And yeah, you're going to be able to, hopefully every week we'll keep dropping a video of looking at 2 or 3 more, and you'll be able to follow some of them for even longer than that. It's probably going to be the best 20 or 30 fish will be retained for another season to grow them further, just so I can monitor what they're doing in that next sort of year of life with the Showa, how the Sumi develops, with the Kohaku in particular, looking at how the Sashi's been developing more than anything, because this real deep, intense Benny, there are slightly different Sashi rules to it than with some of the softer sort of Benny-based Kohaku lines. Yeah, this really intense Benny can tend to carry a deeper, not quite unpleasant looking Sashi when the fish are younger. And at the minute I'm basing it off of what I know of lineages quite similar to the Dainichi one, but the actual one itself, there's a lot I need to learn. So like I say, I'll be retaining a lot of the best fish on for another year, just to see what happens and what happens with the growth. It's genuinely, for me, these kind of learning experiences, which is what it has been, I've only just let, I think in total now, about 10, maybe 15 fish tops actually release for sale and out to people, because I genuinely wanted to learn from them. And when there's things I'm not sure about at the same time, I don't want to sell a fish to anybody, especially fish of such value, if I'm not sure and confident that what I'm saying is possibly going to pan out with that fish is going to happen. So yeah, a lot more confident about it now, because a lot of the original selections I made were based around what I thought would happen. So, this far on, I've got a good gauge seeing the fish, if that's happened or not, but still a lot to learn and pick up on a few of these tweaks. But overall, I can say now that I am delighted with what I've seen. Would I do it again? Absolutely. Having done this now is going to make it harder for me not to buy Dainichi Koi moving forwards, to be honest with you. Are they worth the price? Absolutely. There's no question in my mind that they're worth the money. The consistency of the qualities across the whole batch is probably one of the things that's blown me away the most. I'm not saying they're all perfect, but we've probably had overall about 10 fish sort of go down the pan, which is normal with that amount, especially coming from Tosai. There's other fish that have progressed really well, but there's slight issues that I'm not too happy with. But overall, the qualities in the body, the skin, the bone structure setups, everything that's really important has been incredible across the board. Yeah, I think it's a phenomenal result. And what I've got now is some really, really, classy fish with great potential still moving forwards. I mean, they're only sort of, 18 months old now as it stands, so they've got a long way to go. But I think the biggest thing is, people think, is it really worth paying that extra money for a Dainichi fish? Well, if you buy in, I think like I have done, and buy in the sort of true Dainichi fish, absolutely. Still a gamble. It's not going to go perfectly well. Buying them at Nisai when there's obviously less risk, yes, you're going to be into some serious money. But if you are buying that type of fish, it's definitely a place you've got to look at. Yeah, they really do live up to the reputation, in my opinion, and yeah, they've acquired a new fan for sure, and I'm sure moving forwards it's going to be a place that gobbles up quite a lot of my money. So yeah, I think enough of the rambling. Let's get on to looking at some of the fish. So the first 3 fish we're going to take a look at. We're going to go for 3 Showa today. We've got 2 here from the SuperMonster lineage at Dainichi and 1 from MonaLisa. The MonaLisa lineage is one I had particular interest in. The parent fish I just think is absolutely phenomenal. So this is the candidate from the MonaLisa set. Stunning Showa. Really like this one from day one. For me, looking at it, the body had a lot of potential. The size of the head was really appealing, and yeah, a lot to do with the sumi there in the pattern. But as with most of the Dainichi fish, it's been about the body, so it's pretty much a given in most of them. But I had high hopes for that one. We then got this Showa from the SuperMonster lineage. Now, the monster lineage in general is a few generations old now, but the basis of this lineage, or the monster lineage when it started, was the introduction of the Momotaro Mako Showa into the Dainichi lineage, which was all about sort of growth, size, and trying to, you know, make these Showa even bigger, which was what the Momotaro Showa lineage was all about. The third fish is this Showa from the SuperMonster lineage again. Interestingly, with this one, it was as a fish generally it arrived on a bit later shipment, so at the time the lizard put on quite a bit of size when this one arrived, and generally the size difference I wouldn't have liked in the pond, but I only had one pond for these, so I didn't have a lot of choice. Interestingly, what I've found really impressive is it's actually caught up with the pack and done exceptionally well. So again, I think just testament to the bloodline overall. So yeah, we're going to take a closer look at these fish now, and you can see where they've got to at this point. So here we've got the Showa from the MonaLisa lineage. I absolutely love this one. It is phenomenal. Really going to plan. So this arrived at 25 cm as per the certificate. We moved this on the 21st of June into the pond where it currently resides. At that point it was 37 cm and a kilo in weight. As we can see today, the fish is now 52 centimeters at Nisai. So yeah, I think we'll just let you kind of watch this one. It pretty much talks for itself. The bone structure is phenomenal. I'm always body first with koi, and this is exactly why I wanted Dainichi fish. Just look at the size of the head, the width of the mouth, the width of the head, just the sheer power in it, nicely building into the backbone. The body's got really great length but power throughout, carries it really well into a nice taper onto a strong peduncle. How it holds itself is just superb. The pec fins are in really nice proportions and in good condition. You can see the skin quality just speaks volumes. I mean, you just see where it breaks the water. Benny quality is unreal. There's still loads of pigmentation packed in themselves as well. White skin, really nice, despite still being quite heavy on the food. And the sumi that's progressing and the quality of what's coming up is phenomenal. This is going to be a seriously good piece moving forwards. Excited to see what progresses, even more so knowing the lineage, but what a fish. We can still see as well, I don't know if it'll come through, but there's a real shine in the scales just behind the head here, which is all an indication as towards kind of future skin luster, future quality. Especially most of that shine is on the shiroji areas, which is really nice. That's just going to progress into overall quality of that white skin. There's early signs of fukurin progression as well, which you're going to expect with Dainichi Showa. It's just a top quality piece. I'm absolutely thrilled with this one. There's no doubt in my mind this will be in for another year here at the farm, and we'll see where it gets to. From a pattern perspective, there's really nice elements. This type of sumi with Dainichi Showa is fixed, so I'm not expecting any surprises in sumi anywhere. Where I can see it, I'll expect it to develop, as it already is doing. We can see on the sort of shadowed areas where the real stuff's starting to come through and thicken. That'll happen more as the temperatures kind of drop. But yeah, we won't see any change in this pattern. There's small areas like this area, Shiroji will become more prominent as that fish gets bigger. But wow, what a piece. So here we've got the SuperMonster lineage Showa. This is what I can really describe as like a super kindai. We're getting more into that shortly. This arrived at 27 cm as per the certificate. On the 21st of June, it was 35 cm and 750 grams in weight. Today it measures 48 cm. And weighs 2.15 kilos, which is quite a considerable gain in body weight. There was a few, the pond's been very competitive, so I mean there's been 45 fish at this kind of size in 3,500 gallons. It's really put them to the test, so hence why a few have dropped off the average, but I'm really excited to see how this fish progresses. Now when I say super kindai, if we look back on the certificate, this was just a Showa with no kind of real, I say stable bedding pattern. There's not a lot of it there. It's very flowery in its type, and there was no sumi. And I think this is where fish like this get overlooked. But Showa are all about the balance of 3 colours, and this is what's basically happening with this fish. Now, I was always confident it would happen looking at it. But you can see now what the sumi progression is actually starting to do. The head is really starting to come alive now, which is exciting. You can see memoir starting to form around here, the clear indication of the sumi pattern, which is just going to look absolutely incredible when that pops to its fullest extent. We can see the sumi on the shoulders really come up thick, and the thickness and shine that's sort of getting, which is an indicator of what we're going to get everywhere else on the fish. But the biggest signs now are where we see the sumi progression sort of mid-body and what's potentially happening further down the fish as well. The sumi is really fitting in nicely. A lot of it sat on the shiroji in between the bene, which is really desirable. The shiroji is a little bit out of condition at the minute, but I'm not too concerned about that because we've not spent any time getting that in any kind of condition. We can see early signs in between the scales of the fukarin development, which is really nice. If you are looking at sumi, we can see signs across the back here of progression. There is actually a little bit of sumi in at the peduncle as well, which is going to form down the side of the fish. We can also see there's the sumi there, down this flank, signs of it just there. This over the next, certainly as it gets to the winter period and the temperature sort of drops down to about 18, the sumi progression is going to be pretty fierce on this one, and it's just going to look like a completely different fish. Body's really well balanced. Another, you can see the characteristic, really cracking head shape, proportion, nice height on the spine, good length back to the dorsal fin as well. And just overall, you can see the body line's really desirable. Underneath, it's got a nice tight belly line. And on top we've got nice weight, and again a nice little taper into the peduncle. So what a piece. A long way to go with this one, but I really do think as a Tosai most would have overlooked it, and certainly within the next 12 months I think it would be a fish that when people see it would be the first one they'd want to pick, to be honest. It's going to look superb. We can just see as well there's been a little bit of progression. The bene's sort of tightening. The sash is looking good on this one, really consistent, quite nice and tight. So yeah, lots to come, exciting fish to watch, and I mean the weight gain has been phenomenal. You can see that, I mean that kind of increase in such a short period of time is, I think, obviously testament to the lineage, but testament to Saki Hikari as well, and what it's actually capable of doing. But yeah, my favourite sort of style of Showa, this one, the really stripped back Kindai. So for sure I'm going to love seeing where this one gets to. So here we've got another one of the SuperMonster lineage Showas. This arrived with us at 26 cm on the 21st of June. This fish was 34 cm and 750 grams. If we look now, we're hitting 48 cm and it weighs 2 kilos in total, which is a considerable weight gain and I think testament to the food again. And again, when you look at the body lines, you know, they're incredibly tight. The volume has been put on the right way, and that is one of the things I attribute to the quality of the Saki Hikari growth food and that whole range, you know, altogether really. So yeah, this fish, I'm really excited. The characteristic which drew me to it to begin with is the quality of the beni. We can see the sheer luster and the shine of the beni, the depth, intensity already. We're still so much, you know, colour and thickness to come out of that, so really excited to see where that's going to go. Its actual development so far, we can see from the original picture that really everything's kind of just stayed the same and stretched out. We can use the sumi on the head here as an indicator as to the potential end quality of what's to come, and that makes things really exciting. We can see on the shoulder region as well, it's starting to show those qualities, so that's a really promising sign for that fish. The sumi pattern, I think it's going to be quite phenomenal on this one. If we look how it flows across the body, the balance is going to be quite impeccable. And yeah, the pattern's a bit more of a traditional sort of, you know, beni pattern underneath it. And I think it really suits this fish overall. Now, if we have a look, there's a couple of areas in it which I would like to see some improvement, but I'm pretty confident that's going to come. If we look towards the sashi on the beni, we can see certainly at this, you know, peduncle area, it's a little bit thick at the minute, a little bit deep, but consistently throughout the fish that's the case. Around this area of the beni here, this area here, and this area there. It's when sashi is consistent across all the areas of the beni, it tends not to worry me, because it's when there's one sort of problem area that's a lot thicker than all the others you want to be concerned, because most of the time that one area doesn't ever tighten up because it's not in line with the rest of the skin. So I'm pretty confident, you know, over the next sort of 12 months this fish is going to grow a lot. It's going to stretch things out. As it gets older beyond that, things are going to contract and pull in. And on top of that, we're going to have a lot of thickening of the white ground, the shiroji. So yeah, as it stands for me, that's not a big concern. But again, when you're looking overall, it's that the quality of the fish is just excellent. When we look again at the sumi, we can see, you know, even these areas that are progressing, there's really nice sumi kiwa there, which is good to see. And the kiwa on the beni is pretty awesome, Maruzomi style as well. We can see there scalloped in beautifully and happening throughout the fish. So yeah, really nice attributes. Might not come through on camera, but we can see the very early signs of Motoguro in both pectoral fins as well, which is going to be a nice element. You see the strongest one this side. There's a small faint black line there, so yeah, an exciting prospect, this one. Really keen to see what it does. I think it's going to have a really strong winter season. I think this sumi is going to be quite aggressive in its development when the temperature drops off, and I can't wait to see what's in store for it. So just a few thoughts on those three fish. I'm absolutely over the moon with the progression of them, for sure. Like I say, I think it's important to stress there's been 45 fish in 3,500 gallons. It's an incredibly high stocking level. If we'd have reduced that to say half, the results would have been considerably even greater than what they are. all three fish are showing great signs, progression. You'll have seen that the consistency of the qualities throughout is excellent, which is testament to the lineage of the fish, really. That's been 3 Showa today. In the next video, because we're going to make this into a bit of a series where we look at the, most of the fish in that pond. We're going to cover 3 of the Kohaku, which you will want to see for sure. These things look exceptional. Just a quick sort of end note on the food. Like I said before, these have been raised on Saki Hikari, and I do ramble on about this stuff, but honestly, as a product, it's just phenomenal what it does. Yes, these fish have got the capacity and the capability to do great things, but we need to get that out of them. And you can see from those weight gains, I mean, the majority have pretty much trebled in weight since the 21st of June. They've done phenomenal, but in conjunction with that, the skin condition is superb. The body lines are still tight, from what the food does, particularly the growth food. I've used a lot of foods in the past which are very, very quick to put a lot of fat onto the gut, which is where you don't want it, and create that saggy sort of belly. This stuff just doesn't do that, and honestly, I just think it's a phenomenal product, and for me, there's no other choice in regards to fish food. So yeah, it's going to be a great series, lots of videos to come on this one. I hope you've enjoyed those fish, and yeah, the next one will be along soon, like I say, with 3 Kohaku that you just won't want to miss. Thanks for watching.